Hello and welcome to Talking Tullahoma, a weekly podcast recapping the week's news, talking to the newsmakers, and looking ahead to upcoming events. I'm Kelly Lepchinsky, and today I'll be talking to Evelyn Champion, a member of the cast of South Jackson's upcoming production of Anne of Green Gables. After the interview, stay tuned to hear about events that are on tap for the weeks ahead. But first, a heads up. Monday, September 1st is Labor Day, and many offices are going to be closed, including mine. I'll be taking my fall vacation starting on Monday, so next week's podcast will be very light on the news. But I've still got some fresh interviews and some new upcoming events to share with you, and maybe even a little local trivia. So I hope you will join me for that next week. Now, here's a look back at this week, ending Friday, August 29th. First up, advocates hoping to preserve an historic bridge at Old Stone Fort were dealt a blow late last week. The Department of State Administrative Procedures Division rejected a challenge to the state's plan to replace the metal truss bridge. Now, technically, it wasn't a challenge to the replacement so much as it was a challenge to the project's aquatic resources alteration permit, which would allow impacts to several hundred feet of stream on the Duck River. Those are temporary impacts, but there would be permanent impacts to another 80 feet. Now, the historic bridge spans the Duck River at the state park now, but in 1906 it was built by an Illinois iron company to span the Elk River, and it was moved to its current location in 1970, where it now serves as the only vehicle access to the park's camping grounds, and that is why it's being replaced. The bridge was deemed unsafe for vehicle traffic, and it was closed in 2020. Now, a proposal to refurbish the bridge was rejected when engineers said it wouldn't be possible to meet current standards on a bridge that's more than 100 years old, and which was not built to withstand the weight of modern vehicles. Though the bridge cannot be preserved in place, there are plans to preserve it. The 100-foot truss portion will be relocated from Campground Lane to another part of the park where it will serve as a scenic river overlook. Work on the new bridge was initially slated to begin in January, but questions of preservation have delayed the removal of the old one. The completion date for the project is now estimated to fall in September of next year. Now, on Monday, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen met in regular session with a relatively light agenda. In fact, they were half an hour into their hour-long meeting before they cast their first vote, which was a vote that was a bit of housekeeping to adopt the city schools budget. Other business included amendments to city codes to define specialty shops as shops that devote more than 25% of their retail area to tobacco-like products and paraphernalia. Think e-cigarettes, cannabis derivatives, edibles, oils, concentrates. You get the idea. This is not aimed at tobacco shops. Cigarettes, tobacco pipes, lighters, and matches can take up 100% of your store, and you are not a specialty shop under this ordinance. No, instead, the umbrella of specialty shop covers anything that's leaning more toward what might have once been called a head shop. Because as Police Chief Chase Sun said in a previous meeting, some of the products sold in these specialty stores have exceeded the amount of derivative that's strictly legal. Now, as a defined retailer, these shops are now subject to restrictions similar to those placed on liquor stores. They cannot be within 300 feet of a school, church, or a public library, and a limited number of retailers will be allowed to operate within city limits. Shops that are already in operation have been grandfathered in, but their business license cannot be transferred. Now, before the business of the agenda, Mayor Lynn Seaborn signed a proclamation recognizing the month of September as Emergency Preparedness Month in Tullahoma. The proclamation, encouraging all residents and community groups to develop an emergency plan, was presented to Community Engagement Officer Lyle Russell. Now, in the month of September, Lyle's office will recognize it by daily preparedness tips on the city Facebook page. And today we're going to help him get started, because when he took the lectern, he said that he had just learned about the Coffee County Emergency Management Agency's push-to-text emergency alert system. That system is called HyperReach, and well, if Lyle wasn't familiar with it, it's a safe bet you might not be either. When the system was installed in 2021, we talked about it with Emergency Management Director Alan Lendley on Tullahoma 6 News. But back then, you had to be a LightTube television subscriber to hear our local newscast. So if you weren't, or if you didn't watch, you might have missed it. The following information first aired in March of 2021, and it begins with then Police Chief Jason Williams, who is now a criminal investigator for the Coffee County DA's office. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
The county, the 911 system, has a service that they subscribe to called HyperReach, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to sign up on that system, and then it sends you out specific warnings and notifications to your cell phone or your email, however you choose to set it up. I want to encourage everybody to visit that website. You can go to it through Coffee County's website and go to 911, and there's a link on there that'll take you to the HyperReach website that'll allow you to sign up for that. And the notifications will be based on your specific area. So if you put your address in or wherever you get your phone service at when you sign up for it, it'll be very specific to that location.
Now, there's a few things you can do to be prepared. Obviously, if it's a tornado warning, our cell phones will go off. Regardless of where you're at in the country, your phone will go off for a tornado warning, just like it does an Amber Alert. But we also have what they call HyperReach, and that's a system. It's a reverse 911 system here in the county. You can sign up for HyperReach. You can go to our website, you can go to the county's website, but our website is coffeecountytn.com, and click on severe weather, and you can find the HyperReach link there. You can sign up for other warnings and watches because typically your cell phone doesn't go off for just a watch unless you have it set up that way. HyperReach will allow us to send the watches out to you. And just quickly, the difference between a watch and a warning. If we go under a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch, that's a long duration event, sometimes 1 to 8 hours. And all that means is conditions are favorable for a tornado or a severe thunderstorm during that time frame. Now, a warning means that one has either been spotted by radar or one has been spotted by somebody. It means it's on the ground, either radar confirmed or somebody has saw it. So that spawns a warning. A warning gives you at best 10 to 15 minutes of lead time. I remember thinking back to the November tornado that came through the north side of Tullahoma. We had about 10 minutes lead time. So that's not a lot of time to try to find your safe space. So you need to be weather aware all the time.
Another bit of business for the City Board this week was the appointment of a new member to the Tullahoma Utilities Authority Board of Directors. Longtime member and civic leader J.T. Northcutt completed his second term this week, and on Monday the City Board selected local realtor Darrell Welch to fill the vacancy. On Tuesday night, well-wishers from across the city bid farewell to Northcutt before his final meeting on the board. And while TUA said goodbye to one of its longtime leaders on Tuesday, the Tullahoma Police Department said goodbye to one of its newest members at a memorial service for School Resource Officer Brant Voss. The 53-year-old officer suffered a sudden and fatal medical emergency on August 20th. Now, if the name is not familiar to you, that's because he was newly installed on the job. He was selected as the SRO at Tullahoma High School earlier this month after a 2-decade career in the Marine Corps and another 9 years serving as a Tennessee K-9 officer alongside his K-9 partner, Milo. On Wednesday, the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation held interviews for the finalists for the executive director position that was previously held by Winston Brooks. Brooks stepped down in June to accept a position as the Director of Economic Development in Chattanooga. And since that time, City Administrator Jason Quick has assumed the duties of TAEDC leadership alongside Board Chair Beverly Lee and City Finance Director Sue Wilson. There were 41 applicants for the position. 2 made it to the final interview this week. Also on Wednesday, the Tullahoma school system announced that Athletic Director John Olive has been named the TSSAA Distinguished Service Award winner for his 4 decades of involvement in education-based athletics. Olive won more than 225 games as head coach of the THS football team, and he retired from coaching on a high note after winning the 2021 state championship. As athletic director, he continues to champion high school sports, including the very first appearance of the boys' basketball team in the state championship game earlier this year, and the baseball team's state championship win last year. And, of course, the continued success of the high school's elite girls bowling team. Now, last weekend, the Wildcat football team defeated Shelbyville 35-14 in the season opener, and this week, this Friday night, the 29th, the Cats travel to Coffee County for the Coffee Pot game. Now, it is a big game every year, but this year it's even bigger. It's the 100th meeting of those two teams for that one prize. Now, last year, the Red Raiders took the pot away with them from the Tullahoma field, and this year the Cats will try to bring it back home from the Coffee County field. Both teams are coming in fresh off Week 1 victories. You can watch the game live on LightTube Channel 23 or listen on 93.9 The Duck. Now, in 2021, the Wildcat football team claimed the state title. In 2024, the Wildcat baseball team won state. And in 2025, another state title was brought home to Tullahoma by an amateur. The USBC Senior Women's Bowling Championship was won by a Tullahoma bowler. And not just any Tullahoma bowler, it was me. I promised my dad that I would announce that on the podcast. Now, a couple of weeks ago on this program, Rosie Graham dropped by the studio to tell us about the book Anne of Green Gables, because the Community Playhouse will soon present a large cast play based on that book. Today, a member of that cast, Evelyn Champion, stopped by to tell us more about the show.
I am Marilla, so one of the leads. I'm her understudy, and then I am also Miss Stacy, which is the school teacher in Act 2.
Okay, now let's give people, in case they didn't hear, Rosie Graham was here just a couple weeks ago, and she actually did a book review on the book Anne of Green Gables. But if anybody missed that, let's kind of tell them what the story is so that we understand why we're talking about teachers and a large cast.
So Anne is a girl of 12 years old who is an orphan, and she becomes adopted by a brother and sister that were a little bit on the elderly side. I wouldn't say extremely old, but a little bit on the elderly side, and it's just more of her life and her growth and what to expect and not expect. As an orphan, she spent most of her life working more as like a servant or a nanny up to this point. So now that she has to interact in regular social situations, it's entertaining, there's funny moments, sad moments, and so, of course, some of those moments happen in a schoolhouse. So you meet her schoolmates and some that become her dear friends in those schoolhouse moments. And then some of the funny to us, but unfortunate for her moments that happen in schoolhouses of embarrassment and not knowing the right answer and those type of things.
And she starts off kind of on the wrong foot anyway, because this perhaps past childbearing years couple has asked for a boy, and they got a girl. And so she has to come go in and, all right, what did you want him to do? What do you want me to do? Right?
Yes. She basically is at the very beginning very in a tight situation where she has to decide, like, I know I want to be here. I know I do not want to go back to any of the situations I've been in previously. And how am I going to convince them that I am who they need, instead of a boy? I'm just as good as a boy. I can do anything a boy can do. She didn't, thankfully, have to take on a lot of those roles. They just enjoyed her presence and her company and how much she lights up the space, more than actually having her do farm work, thankfully.
Okay. So tell us about the actor who is playing the title role.
Oh, Piper. Oh, she's a very sweet girl. She played in Zoozical as I want to say Gertrude, which is one of the main bird girls, and had a big role in that. So that's where I met her. And then now she's in Anne, and she's very devoted to her character, and it is great to just sit in rehearsals and to watch her shine and build these bonds. And I want to say Zoozical was her first show with South Jackson Performing Arts Center. So some of these bonds a lot of these bonds are new. And
Nice.
it's great to see just those building and strengthening, especially with young people. Every month they are more mature or a little more mature than the month previous. So seeing them just grow together, and that's one of my things I just love about theater in general is watching people become who they really are through being other people.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's a great insight. It really is.
Yes.
You know, I always said when I was doing theater a lot more than I do these days, is that I'm a very introverted person. I didn't like to talk to anybody. I've gotten better at that, but I really was horrible at it. And theater was a great way to get out all those emotions I couldn't feel in my real life, or why I was sheltered in my own life. And also to know for 2 hours exactly what I was supposed to say, exactly what you were going to say back to me. Being somebody else gave me a comfort zone that I was not able to find for myself, and yet let me do that growing that you were talking about. And it is wonderful for
Yes.
you to see that in the people that you're interacting with.
Yes, well, and I do have family in the show as well. My husband and I have 4 children.
I was going to get there. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, because you mentioned seeing them grow little
Yeah.
by little, month after month. You're seeing that both at home and on the stage.
Yes, so like I have 4 children. 2 of them are in this production, and then my husband. This will be one of his very first productions.
Nice.
Period. I mean, he's done some choirs and he did band in high school, but as far as acting, this is his first role, and he gets to be the college professor, like the dean, in one of the scenes, and he gets to be a doctor in a different scene. And then my son Noah, his birthday's tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Noah.
Yes, and he will be 11 years old, and he gets to play just one of the farm boys and then one of the students. So he gets to do a little bit of different things. And Lily, she's one of the youngest castmates, but she's not our youngest. We actually have one that's under 2 in the cast. And,
Wow.
Yes, so Lily's not the baby in the show this time.
Wow.
She gets to be the big girl, so she's very proud of that. But she usually is the littlest, and then but she gets to just be in some of the scenes and run around and be a kid, and she absolutely loves to perform. This will be her, oh my gosh, 4th performance at
Nice.
South Jackson, and she's 4 years old. So
Wonderful.
yeah, she just enjoys the stage so much.
Now, full disclosure, you and I know each other because we have shared a stage. In
Yes.
fact, we did Shakespeare. We did Midsummer Night's Dream,
Yes.
and you were one of the fairies to my fairy queen.
Yes.
And Noah was our changeling boy.
Yes.
So-
No, I've lost count of how many shows that was done. I tried counting it the other day, and then I'd keep remembering different ones that he got to be a part of, and I kind of lost count. I need to go back through and do some digging.
You know, I have to say that's a disadvantage, I will say, in this era. Good for paper. But when I was coming through, every show you did had a paper program.
Yes.
And I'm a big hoarder and that kind of thing. Boy, I'm
Yes.
going to keep all the keepsakes. So I was able to kind of leaf through and do a count of my plays at some
Yes.
point. But I started realizing that's not happening anymore because of the digital programs that are in
Yes.
so many places, and some people are never going to have those.
Right. So, yeah, that is, yeah, very unfortunate. I have thought about that too. I was like, oh wait, I don't have one for different plays that I've been in, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yes, I love the paper ones.
Yes.
I definitely keep those. But yes, Noah loved being the changeling one. He talks about that still. Anytime anybody wants to give him grief about nail polish or anything, he's always, well, I am a changeling boy, and fairies can wear what they want. And
Nice.
so he's so sweet. Yeah, he takes quite pride in being the changeling boy, and I still to this day, Midsummer is one of my absolute favorite productions that I did, and I got to be fairy, but I also got to be Wall.
Oh, true. Yes, yes.
Snout, Wall Snout / Snout, and that character is just hilarious, and it was so fun.
Okay, so what else should we know about Anne of Green Gables? What do you know about? I guess ticket prices always start around 20, usually.
Yes. So I want to say what is it? The balcony is usually around 20, and then center seats usually I think around 30 something. And so where you sit in the theater is a different ticket price. I think it's a tremendous group of young people and adults together, and it's a heartwarming show. There you will have tears, you will have laughter, you'll have completely relatable moments in this show. I've spent a lot of time digging deeper into the show. It wasn't one that I initially had planned to audition for. There were some other shows that I wanted to audition for, and life decided that I wasn't going to have the time to devote to those shows. And so I went out on a limb and auditioned, not really expecting much. But then after I auditioned, then, two of my children and my husband auditioned right behind me. And I was like, oh, great. So we get to have rehearsals together and laugh together and grow together and help memorize lines and go over costume pieces. And the costumes are going to be amazing in the show. We have some great costume people at South Jackson.
That's a good question. The book was written, I think, in 1906. Is that the time period the show is set in, that early 1900s?
Early 1900s. I want to say late 1800s, too, as well. I think there's kind of like a little bit of mixture because it was written and then in different performances. So, like, on TV, it's a little bit of a different time period than it was in even the movie and then in the stage version. So I want to say late 1800s. And then, but yes, costumes have been interesting to acquire.
I bet.
And
you don't just go to Goodwill and try to find something that make it work when it's the 1800s.
Yeah, a lot of, well, if you do find something, pulling out the modern embellishments or something of that nature. And I enjoy costuming quite a bit. And I've done a little bit of everything at South Jackson, backstage and on stage. And so costuming is obviously one of my favorites, and there's some amazing mentors at South Jackson for that too.
Yeah. And Ann Wonder.
Yes, Ann Wonder, Twana Brock, she's been helping with this one quite a bit. Skylar Wanamaker, so Rob's husband.
And Rob Wanamaker is, of course,
the director.
directing.
Yeah. Skylar is great with costumes, great with wigs. Oh my gosh, the wigs.
He did Steel Magnolias, which
was, yes, the
I
wigs.
was in that cast. The wigs were significant.
Yes. And I have a wig for Anne of Green Gables, and it's the first time that I'll be wearing a wig on stage. I have obviously a lot of hair.
You do?
So I've not yet had to use a wig, but I'm excited for the opportunity to grow in another aspect of stage.
Wonderful.
So as far as Anne of Green Gables go, it would be one that you'll regret it if you miss it, for sure. You'll look back and be like, oh, that was that one I wanted to go see this year if you miss it.
Okay, by the way, I was off by a few years there. The book was written in 1908, not 1906. Now, that was the year of the Truss Bridge we talked about earlier. Now, as for the play, it will only run for one weekend starting Thursday, September 11th. Now, if you want to make a transition from actors performing a piece of young adult fiction to reading a book written for adults, there is no one better to do that than voracious reader Kathy Rose. Kathy dropped by the studio on Wednesday with her handy reading journal to tell us all about her summer reading. But when Kathy and I sit down to talk about books, well, that could be a whole podcast of its own. So today I'm sharing just part of our conversation, sticking to a single author, Wally Lamb, the author of She's Come Undone. His newest book is called The River is Waiting.
I've actually met Wally Lamb. He was at one of Ann Patchett's salons over in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And he's just the nicest little guy you'd ever want to meet, just personable. And how he comes up with the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching scenarios as a basis for his stories. It just amazes me. It just absolutely amazes me. And I'm not giving any spoilers on The River is Waiting, because the whole basis for the story is laid down in the first chapter. Corby and his wife are the father of twins, parents of twins, a boy and a girl. And the mother teaches. Corby's job played out. He was a digital artist, whatever. Anyway, the job ran out, so he has been the stay-at-home dad. And, there for a while there was a very active job search going on, and it tended to dwindle. And as the job search, now he's good father, good, crazy about his kids, but as the job search begins to taper off, his intake of medication, washed down with a little alcohol in the morning, has started to increase. So he's not in a real good place. But he's still up, trying to take care of the kids, do what he's supposed to do. So this one morning, he is supposed to be taking the twins, who are still in car seats, to his mother-in-law's because he is going job hunting that day. And he decides, loosen up with a little Ativan, and I'm trying to remember if bourbon or scotch is his drink of choice, but, washes it down, just take the edge off. And he goes out and begins to load the children in the car. And while he's doing this, one of the neighbors says something to him. And he gets distracted and gets back in the car to take the children. And what happens next is just so horrific that I just... It's every parent's worst nightmare.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's chapter 1.
Oh, my God.
And when I read that, I just thought, can't do this. Close the book.
Yeah,
put
I
it
had that
off.
response just listening to you.
I get chills when I think about it. Put the book on the nightstand. I thought, I can't do this one. I just can't do this one. And after about 3 days, I realized that in that first chapter, Wally Lamb had so drawn me into the story of this couple and what this man does, accidentally, but he does it, and he's got to live with the consequences of it. I thought, I have to see what happens to these people.
Yeah.
And it was an Oprah Book Club selection. This is the 3rd book by him that she has selected for her book club. And it's just there's prison involved, and it's just such a great story of how we struggle to forgive ourselves, how we struggle to forgive each other, because the wife is still out there and he still loves her, and he was the love of her life, and so there's that struggle, and it's couldn't put it down.
Wow.
Just couldn't put it down. It
Now,
was
see, I need to
just-
do what you do with the reading journal, because there are a lot of times I read books and I want to call back to mind She's Come Undone, and I can't. But that sort of gripping, oh my gosh, I'm almost horrified, but I have to continue. You've got me, is the way I remember that book feeling as well.
Well, and then of course you've got the one that I can't remember if it was Netflix or HBO that did the series. I Know This Much Is True,
I'm not familiar with that one.
and twin brothers, and one of them just kind of goes berserk and amputates his own arm in the local public library, and so
No.
you're going, oh my gosh, that, ooh, but it's kind of like those early Grey's Anatomy episodes, when people would come in with tree trunks and their abdomen and stuff like that. They said that Shonda Rhimes based that on actual events that had happened
my gosh.
in emergency rooms. And you're trying to think, where did he come up with some of this? But I guess the one, and this is why the reading journal is important, because I can't remember the name of it. But he wrote one about the aftermath of Columbine,
Oh,
and the wife was a counselor at the school. And when the shooting took place, she found a hiding place in a closet in the library, and that's where she waited it out. The man was a coach there, and he had called in sick that day. So, you think about, you think when something like that happens, of course, you think about the people who lost their lives that day, which is horrific. But then you think about the people who are left behind asking, how did I literally dodge that bullet?
Yeah.
And, and the wife second guessing herself, I hid, could I have done something? He just tells a fantastic story, and The River is Waiting. It lives up to his reputation. It was just a wonderful, wonderful book.
in Lamb's book, the river is a metaphor for the constantly flowing journey of life, what's reflected, what's left behind, and what moves forward. So now we move forward to upcoming events. Here's a look at what's happening. The D.W. Wilson Community Center will be closed on Friday, September 5th, while workers prepare the parking lot to be repaved. The milling work will be completed on the 5th. The actual paving will take place the following week on Monday and Tuesday, but only sections of the parking lot will be closed for that, so the center will be open on the 8th and the 9th. The second annual Blocks Bass Tournament is set for Saturday, September 6th on Timms Ford. The entry fee is $100 per boat, and registration will take place on the day of the event at the Timms Ford Bass Club in Winchester. Fishing starts at 7 a.m. For more information, call Dawn at 581-6421. Rehearsals for the annual Tullahoma Civic Choir will begin on Monday, September 8th. The choir is open to all singers, and rehearsals will be held at 7 p.m. each Monday night until the Christmas concert is held on December 13th. A $25 fee helps to cover the cost of the music. To find out more, contact Michael Brown at 247-5013. As we heard earlier, the Community Playhouse will present Anne of Green Gables for one weekend only in September. The curtain will rise at 7 for performances on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 11th through the 13th, and there's a 2:30 matinee on Sunday, the 14th. Adult tickets start at $20, and you can purchase them online at southjackson.org. Motlow's second annual Bucks Fall 5K is set for Saturday the 13th, with registration and packet pickup beginning at 7 a.m., and then the race will begin at 8. The cost is $40 unless you can get in before September 1st. For more information, log on to bidpal.net and then look for the Bucks Fall 5K. Saturday, September 13th is also Pancake Day at the Mercantile Cafe in Manchester. The annual pancake breakfast raises funds for the Imagination Library of Coffee County, a program that puts free books into the hands of any child under the age of 5. Breakfast will be served from 8 until 10 on the 13th, and you can get your $12 tickets at the Mercantile Cafe. And that's what's happening. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Talking Tullahoma. If you've got a story or an event that you'd like to share on the podcast, call and leave me a message at 571-7186 or email news@lighttube.net. I'll be back soon with more of what makes Tullahoma tick. Until then, you can listen to Talking Tullahoma on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. New episodes drop on Thursdays. Please rate and review. For the video version, follow us on YouTube. Just search for TUA LightTube. I'm Kelly Lepchinsky. Catch you next week.